Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations on Purpose for the Global Coaching Academy. My name is Jay. I am your host for this evening, and we just love all things mentoring, coaching, transformation, healing, and personal spiritual development. Tonight, I am speaking to a graduate of the GCA Diploma, Miss Cat Cronin. We're catching up with her to find out what she gained from the course and how it has changed her life. Hope you enjoy the episode. I'll see you on the other side. All right, then. Well, I would like to officially welcome Miss Cat Cronin to the show. Welcome, Cat.
Hello, lovely to be here.
Thank you for being here. I'm excited to talk to you about the journey with the Global Coaching Academy. So, for those of you who don't know, Kat is a graduate from GCA. And when did you actually graduate?
I graduated 2021.
Okay, so quite recently, and I wasn't part of the core team when Kat came through. I only joined in 2024. But I know Kat from other circles, and I've been watching her kick goals and grow for a few years. And you really have started to stand in your own light and find yourself specifically in the last 12 months, Kat, which has been amazing. It's like all of that hard work. Because I've seen you going through it and facing your fears and healing and really putting in the effort to resolve a lot of past things and just heal. It's been great, really courageous. And I feel all of that work is starting to pay off because, you're kicking goals on the ground and, you've got a lot of successful things happening, which is just fantastic. So I want to talk to you about all of that and your experience with GCA and how it influenced you.
Yeah, I'm excited to share some of that journey and to revisit it. Thanks for asking.
I'll start off with, how is your life different since studying with GCA? I'm going to call it GCA, people. It's the Global Coaching Academy. I'm going to call it GCA because that's easier. So, how's your life different, Kat?
And I guess it's different in so many areas, but I feel like I'm more I know myself better and I'm more here. Like that's really one of the main things. It's like I know myself and I am more useful because of it, because I've journeyed within to do that inner work more. I'm like more and more present here now. And yeah, my life is so different. Well, I'm coaching and mentoring in the areas of like personal development and personal spiritual development and um yeah, and I've got lovely, I've got a bunch of women I work with doing women's programs, with that's kind of like group coaching and facilitating with them. And it's literally like coaching is now most of my, it's my main, um, I guess my main life, my main income. I guess people might say it's that, that and the art is a kind of a combination together because I've been an artist for some years too. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just it's just I feel bloody useful. That's probably I'm useful. I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm on purpose. I know what I'm here to do, and I'm having a go at that. And that's very different to just doing something because you're useful at it or because you can make a living with it, or I just feel very much on purpose. So,
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, Kat, because there's a lot of people that come through the course and they're just organically quite good at therapy and listening and coaching, yet through the course it really helps them integrate all that and obviously get accredited so they can do it better. And they do feel useful because yeah, again, a lot of people come, they've got these natural abilities, they want to serve, they want to help, they want to give back, they love raising people up and uplifting. Yet the course just helps all of that kind of lock into place so then they can actually do something with it and from a professional place, so combining those natural gifts with the professional training.
yeah, absolutely. And just having that structure, like all of the ICF accredited, and just like you, you are, we're so well looked after in that, like each step along the way, we got so much great training with, and then you, you know, you have that confidence that you can back yourself as a an actual, that I don't know if this makes sense, but you, you know, I honestly felt like a bit of a fraud beforehand. And
Yeah.
people often talk about that, even my clients talk about that, like
Yeah.
the you might be feeling like a bit of an imposter syndrome stuff or something like that. And it's like, yeah, I was just always drawn to, uplift and help people, but I didn't have the solid structured
Mm.
qualification and the deep dive of, I really didn't have the structured assistance with that. So it's so good. It's just like, oh, there's really courses in this depth with this depth. Awesome,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's great because then we can actually help people in a deeper way with with the tools that we learn through actually studying coaching and mentoring. We can help people in a deeper way, I feel, when we've got that certificate under our belt, that diploma.
absolutely. I agree.
And I heard you say the deep dive and introspection a couple of times. So tell us about that because I know the course, people. I'm facilitating it, and I feel a leading question here. I feel that
Go
one
on.
of now you're not allowed to do leading questions in real coaching, but what I feel is, Kat, and this was my experience as well with the course and facilitating it, is one of the points of difference is that it is a deep dive and it is introspection, and we do go in and we unpack and we undergo our own healing journey through the course.
Absolutely. And it was like perfect timing for me to begin that kind of deep dive into, exploration into, now I know I can only go as deep with my
Mm,
clients as I'm capable of going with myself. And so like I can hold, we say at the bottom of the U,
yeah.
like I can only go as deep with the client and hold the, yeah, what do you even call it? Well done.
Hold space.
Hold space and hold the potential. Like
Yeah.
you just,
Yeah.
you can feel the potential for someone to move through because you've been able to move through it or similar yourself. So it's like just being able to hold that potential, because there's no point in me rushing in with, well, if you just do this and maybe try that. And how often have we had that experience? So it's like if I hold um that space of, yeah, unconditional positive regard, and I know you've got everything that you need, and here's
Mm,
the space, well, like then the client or ourselves with the journey I had with GCA, it was like there was so much space for me to come to my own realization, prompted and encouraged and coached through, to find my greatest potential. And it's like, well, I'm proof of the pudding. It's like, oh well, that was my experience with GCA. I was encouraged to unfurl and to show more of myself and to bring um, more wounded parts or more parts that really needed a tender care, um, and in different ways feel safe to do that. And so that, it was really like learning that. And I suppose, yeah, just learning how to receive, how to be receptive as a client
mm,
in the, and as a student with the GCA. And then you onboard those skills and you've lived it. You're not
mm,
just going out to your clients saying, oh well, these are the questions that I need to ask for you to be the most productive or something. It's
mm,
really ingrained in every cell of your being. There's like, well, I've got this lived experience over an entire deep dive year where everything has been explored, all the aspects that could get in the way of me taking care of the hearts of my clients and holding their best interest at heart. Anything in me that could tweak, try and alter their outcome, wanting them to be a certain way or have a certain result, they need to be like me. And any of that stuff. it's just, yeah, brilliant. I say I got to know myself because that's really bloody important. If you're going to
Mm,
take care of anybody else's heart, you've got to be out of the way. Like you cannot have your stuff get in the way. So, yeah.
well said. Yeah, absolutely, Kat. And we say in the course a lot, Belinda says a lot, is who we are is how we coach.
Yeah.
So, if we're living the process like you are explaining there, and then that's how we're going to coach. And it is so important and a great realization that we can only go as deep with our clients as we go with ourselves. That's why we encourage all our students to go deep during the course and really, yeah, unravel and find out what can get in the way. Exactly what you were saying there, Kat, which is just great.
Yeah, it's yeah, unbelievable. And I personally have had so much unbelievable growth, and because of other tools that were encouraged while we were going through that year, it's a whole year, like it's intensive, and you're meeting you've got the tutors, and you've got like it's not a half-ass course, like
No,
it's
it's
really, I've
full.
done some research and and did beforehand, and it was just like, oh, this is the one for me. Like these guys care and like give it. They really want you to see you to succeed and to be the best you can be, and then share that. So it was brilliant. But there was other tools that I found so useful, because I began to be to yeah, the introspection as a go-to. It's like, yeah, I'm going in here. I'm and using tools like reviewing. It's like, well, how did that go? And what went great? What do I need to work on? Blah, blah. Like in my day-to-day interaction, even before clients, just in the conversation, like, sometimes you can walk away from something and go, "Oof," you nearly have to shake it off. You're like, what happened there? And it's just I found really useful onboarding this review, run scenario review, like how can I go better? What can I, there
Mm.
was just that, um, it's just a really helpful aspect. And then you just become a practitioner that is, you're constantly okay with how you are in the moment, with what you've got and what you're bringing, and you're reviewing so that you can be better, rather
Mm.
than just beating yourself up because you're like, oh, I feel off today, so I can't be good. It's just like, just bring myself as best I can, and then I'm going to review what and see where can I go better next time, and where's the upgrades, and that was just a whole new approach. It's like, this really old stuff that's like, um, if somebody was upset or if there was something happening, taking things a bit personal, like, oh, I didn't do a good job, or I whatever, or that was terrible, or just a shift in attitude, and then a shift in how I look at life and how I coach myself to be a better coach and be a better kind of facilitator in general. It's just helpful.
Nice one, Kat. Yeah, having those ongoing reflective practices, not just, okay, done the course and that's it. It's
Yeah.
ongoing reflective practices so we can, yeah, so we can get better at our life, not just with coaching, because it's really about
Mm.
embodying the work and not just putting your coaching hat on and using the tools then. We hope that the students really go through these realizations and have these insights that change them deeply and transform them, so they're embodying something different by the end of the course, and they take that with them and keep using the tools, because again, come back to who you are is how you coach. So if we want to be the best coach that we can be, then we're working towards being the best person we can be. And share with me your experience here, Kat, about the tools that you've learned, and you've touched on it already, because a few people said on the show, oh, the tools I haven't just used professionally, they've helped me personally in my relationships, with my relationship with self, at work, they've helped me spiritually, they've helped me on all these different levels. So what's your experience of that?
Um, I was just going to say complete game changer. Like my like I guess all of my relationships, it feels like every relationship has changed. Like I've changed the contract, I guess, and now I'm listening more deeply, and I'm more present, and yeah, so that, you know, that the active listening is massive. And um I'm not sure who says the being heard is so close to
Yeah.
feeling
Oh,
loved. You know,
yeah.
that it's just it moves my heart even to feel it, because we don't listen, you know, and as a whole, as a, you know, as a the whole world is so busy and transmitting and trying to get their way and manipulating and whatever, you know, not necessarily all bad things, but you know, like just or so often there can be anxiety and other aspects in there, and a tendency to just talk to fill the space, and maybe causing harm with that sometimes because there's no space for other. And but just that active listening has changed so much, and it can feel so um it was an amazing experience for me to be on the receiving end of that from the GCA team. And then from I say my colleagues, because some of them are now my colleagues, but and my cohort, I guess, as well, you know, learning that together. And oh, it's just it's changed so much for the being that I am. There's so much more space for the sensitivity and for the aspects that just haven't been allowed. They haven't had space, and so I haven't prized them, or I haven't allowed them to kind of show up and just, you know, to yeah, it's just very, very healing, like in such a deep way to be heard, and then not have to not have to speak, to make sure you're holding space for someone, to not have to butt in, to just be so, you know, this, it's like timeless, endless, beginningless space. No limitation, no expectation, what's needed in this moment. And then you shut up, let you know, let the person feel loved and listened to. It's just really, and it's very cool.
Yeah. A magic space when you're really embodying that, what you're sharing there, the act of listening, the being present, the out of the way. It's such a magic space where deep healing and insight can just come forward with the person. And I love that quote as well, Kat. It's like uh, most people won't know the difference between being loved and being heard, which says something about the world that we're in. There is a lot of disconnect, and isn't it? Well, my experience is when someone's actually listening to me and they care, it's like, oh, what? I feel seen and loved, and there's healing just
Yeah,
in that.
yeah, pretty good. Pretty healing. And yeah, and so yeah, so a year of that, and but, you know, learning that and really beginning to blossom within that, because so many parts of us, my experience was definitely so many parts I had quietened, or I had shut down, because um there was no space for them to, like, there was it was, I guess, a lot of people's idea of coaching and can be the go ego coach,
Yeah.
you know, like, oh well, just get real confident and then you'll be fine and you can railroad over people, or you know, like you'll get your way, or you know, not saying that's the only other option. You know, there's a lot of the coaching out there that is more holistic. And but I feel like um yeah, with the GCA there was definitely that focus on um, a holistic approach to coaching, and um, yeah, really encouraging, you know, all of the levels. I say all of the levels of your, you know, of your energy system, your physical and your emotion, your mental, and your and that bigger soul aspect, and yeah, like allowing for that connection and allowing for, yeah, like to really hold sacred space, which is just um, you know, I always kind of would have wanted that, or had longed for that intimacy into me, I see, or the
Mm.
intimacy with the work that I do, and wanting to be able to hold that kind of space on a deeper level, so that people can bring themselves completely, but just not having had it valued before, you know,
Yeah.
and not having had it witnessed in a way that, like, the GCA course and the facilitators, really, they really allow space for that unfoldment and being seen, allowing yourself to be seen on all the levels, but also allowing you to, like, teaching you how to hold space to let others be seen and heard on all the levels, listening throughout all of the levels.
Yeah, indeed, Kat. There's a lot of modeling done by the facilitators in the course. So you're going through it. There's a lot being weaved within the facilitation and the classes, modeling, coaching. So you're
Yeah,
kind of soaked in it the whole,
yeah,
the whole year. And I loved how you said there about the sacred space, because it really is. And, for me personally, it's like there's a great responsibility in any helping profession, whether it's mentoring, counseling, coaching. We're caring for someone's heart, and we're there to support their growth and evolution. And it is a sacred space. We want to create that nurturing sacred space. And I'm glad to hear that your experience in the course was one of your gifts, those parts being acknowledged as gifts, Kat, because that they're beautiful natural things that you have on board, which are really needed when it comes to any healing, coaching, mentoring, any of that work.
thank you. And it was really healing for a lot of those parts because there had been and I get on with things and kind of railroading over myself, and I find that now with the ones that I work with, like um I hadn't experienced that kind of space and the encouragement with those aspects of myself. So they hadn't had space to blossom.
Mm,
Um, it's definitely not in any public kind of way, and not in any way that I could, that I thought was okay to bring into my career more, and actually become my livelihood and my way of living. And how, like, oh, I've been longing to be so much more connected and so much more in space and holding space, and not really knowing that that was what was missing.
mm.
Like you're like, I'm looking for something, but I don't know what, it was like, oh, what a
Yeah.
good find. Thanks. That's really possible. Yeah, and I find that with my ones now, and because I work with a lot of creatives and artists and people in healing professions. So um there can be a whole lot of sensitivity that can get a bit trashed by the world, or can just not be respected in the same way because or because of what all sorts of reasons. But it can just be the a gentler sort might not get the space and time to speak or to bring their ideas through. So all of that, it's just like, yeah, it just blew my heart open to know that that was available and I could grow it and it would be encouraged. And then and then I get to share that now. It's like, what a win. What a
Yeah.
win. I can say what a win for humanity, but anyway. Just
Yeah,
like
it is.
getting like
It is.
totally, but it is
It
really,
is.
and I haven't, and I just haven't, some things you have to witness to, some things you have to witness to know it's possible, and that's what it feels like. I'm like, oh, new possibilities, like that's, how's your life changed? And it's like, wow, yeah, miracles happen most days, but anyway, like, yeah, just so
Yeah,
lovely.
nice. Yeah, I was just sensing when you were talking there, Kat. It's like you just came to, because of some of your experiences, you came to see those things as having value, those gifts and those parts, those more sensitive parts and intuitive parts, mystic parts, if you want to call them that, as yeah, they are okay and they're actually of great value.
Amazing. And the previous experience had been, that damn sensitivity kind of thing, or you're so
Yeah.
sensitive, or oh, I wish I could kind of not be I wish I had some other, I've learned lots of ways. We all do, don't we? And lots through the GCA of just holding steady in your uniqueness and like what you actually have to bring. And actually when I feel back into the course it is a few years ago, not that long ago. Um, but I remember that it was like every every person that attended and that was in my cohort, like, got exactly what they needed to
Mm.
ignite something, so
Mm.
ignite the new, that like ignite whatever it was. And that was my personal experience, was this sensitivity and whatever else, and some others and whatever else. But I remember like so many people got so many different things. Like it's just it covers such a broad range, but it's also very personalized. Like you're literally on your personal healing journey whilst you're learning the skills to be a better healer. If you like, or a coach or mentor, in
Yeah.
official words, but like it's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody gets their own unique thing and it's kind of tailor-made and we genuinely care about everybody in the course. It's nobody is just a number is like how I like to share it, is you're not
Mm.
just a number. We understand that everybody's unique and they have different needs. And yeah, there's boxes you need to tick to get accredited and pass assessments. Yeah, I hope that we are bringing ourselves in a way to cater to all people from all walks of life and really champion their uniqueness and their gifts to raise them up. And with the three of us now, we cover quite a broad spectrum of qualities and that. So it's if um someone's going to resonate more with me, some with Marg, some with Belinda, and there's some overlap there. So we cover a lot of bases there, and it's just lovely to hear that you had that experience, Kat, through the course.
It was amazing, and I've had the privilege of working closely with all three of you in different times. Like, yeah, so that's cool. I know, and I'm like, am I advertising this? Sorry, but I'm like I've had the pleasure of working closely with all three of you, and like each a powerhouse in their own
Hmm.
areas, and I can only imagine what it's like now with the three of you, and the three of you in the same room, let alone running a course. So that's very cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's very much love, light, and dynamite, like on the back of your on your.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
actually, yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, nice, Kat. So tell us, tell us why mentoring and coaching. What actually led you to the course? How did that all happen?
Well, yeah, that it's kind of, how far back do you go? But I I at the time, yeah, at the time of the course, let me have a feel into this. So when I was quite little, I got big into I was 9 or something. I found this amazing coach around the corner from me, and I was swimming when I was swimming at quite high standard or the high levels or whatever. And I learned so many things there, but it was it was very, very different. But like I always wanted to and was becoming like, a coach in that kind of thing,
Yeah, yeah.
or I would encourage. And then I got into art, and I encouraged artists, and like mentored or whatever there, and encouraged them to bring their work forward. And I had I didn't have formal training in coaching, so there was a consistent thing of like, well, I'm an encourager, I guess, but not really knowing that that there was this kind of training, and
Ah,
it wasn't as available back then. But I also um I'm just pausing because you might only want this second part. But let's see.
I want all of it.
Yeah,
Tell us your
well,
journey.
yeah,
It's
and um, okay.
Hmm.
And so when I had a car crash where, a good few years ago now, but I was quite there was quite a lot of rehab involved, and it was over some years. Um, and I was learning all about, I was just learning all about neuroplasticity. And once I got well enough, neuroplasticity and healing, and how, I'd done all this research. And so when I was recovering, I started to run hope and resilience. Like I'd speak about hope and resilience around the universities and things like that, and start to facilitate some workshops. And it was like um, art and resilience skills kind of thing.
For some context, Kat, it was a
Yeah.
pretty horrendous car crash, right? And
But
there was a
it,
chance you wouldn't come back. And like
there was I
just
wasn't there was kind of there was a whole lot of thing around I might not work again, and there was quite a yeah, there was a lot of feelings of loss around not being able to have family and all that. Like at that point in my life, it was like it was a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
And so it was a life-changing car crash.
Yeah.
Literally in many ways, it was life-changing. And my life went from being very, very capable to maybe having 15 minutes at a time where I could maneuver myself around or do,
Wow.
and I'd be quite
Yeah.
exhausted. And so I might have got like after quite a while, like 4 years, I might have had 2 hour slots at a time if I,
Wow.
and
After
then
that
like
long.
a bunch of recovery after that. So it was quite something. Without going into the whole
Mm.
recovery of it, it was like a big deal to be able to hold hope beyond the moment with that, and to it was that real um, like just an attitude of, well, if you've got to do this, if I've got to do this, I'm gonna fucking love it. I'm gonna fucking excuse me. I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna love
Mm.
my way through this. And
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of like encouragement for my future life. So it was like, well, how can I accept how this is and just be.
Mm.
I remember just like how my only option is to just be kind
Mm.
um, to myself and others, because I don't know what else to do here. But I had
Mm.
been so active in my career before then. So yeah, big life changing car crash, and then I started to paint about 4 years in or something, and I paint every day for about 15 minutes, maybe a bit more. And every day for a year, I decided to commit to, because I felt so amazing when I'd paint, and it felt
Mm.
really healing in my body. So I'd meditate and then I'd paint. And then I'd maybe lie on the floor again, and I might have another go if I was lucky, depending on the day. And so for a year, I just um, decided to committed to paint every day for a year, and I shared it on social media. And
Mm.
like I had been an artist, and so I had to come back at it like a total beginner, because
Huh.
it was like, I've got 15 minutes. Like, what am I going to do? But I'm doing it because I
Yeah.
feel so good. What am I going to
Yeah.
produce or whatever? So yeah, so I started doing that, and then speaking around the place and encouraging other people to do that. Yeah, the art started to take off, and and I got quite a big following, and then people started to reach out to me, and a lot of um, people that were working through things and that needed hope, and I was helping them to hold hope. And because I would
Mm.
I would share the paintings, and I would share kind of upliftment with
Yeah.
the paintings each day. And I wasn't doing any video or anything, God forbid. I could hardly, like hardly get around the place. So it was just
Yeah.
but when I got a bit more mobile, I started to speak at the universities and do a few different things, and had some exhibitions and around the world. And that was really cool. But I also then started getting all these people reaching out, and I say like a lot of people that were in really tough situations, and it was coming in like thick and fast. And at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, in my personal life, my marriage was ending, and so there was kind of that was happening, and all these people were reaching out, and it was like, oh, I'm finally starting to have a career again. Like, I'm making some money with my art. I'm becoming successful. And then this onslaught of um wonderful, but I don't know what to do with you because I haven't got a training, or whatever. So
Mm.
I kind of started to shut things down. I had like, I was like, I don't know what to do here. And I just went into kind of a bit of a healing cocoon after for a bit. And then the coaching course and some other, some really encouraging people in my life. And especially that, the coaching course came up, and it was like, this is for me. I can
Mm.
just feel it. And so
Mm.
it was like all the parts that fell apart that didn't know how to help the people. It was like I could feel how much it was like
Mm.
I can uplift and I can
And
encourage you,
love
but I
them.
but I and love them, but I don't know how to help in any way or be useful in this, other than you know referring you, and I had that longing to be useful in that way, you know. It's like I'm referring you to to these ones that are great, but like um, it was like, oh, if only I had
Mm.
the skills in the time. Like all I wanted to do was to be useful in a kind of in a coaching. I didn't know it was coaching, but in that kind of way. So yeah, it's interesting how it happens. But yeah, but now it's like, oh well, now I've got got some skills.
Yeah.
Because with the GCA, I've just like learned all this stuff, but I had all of that insecurity and the feeling of being a bit of a fraud because I didn't know what to do with them, and it really kind of took the stuffing out of my. I started to take off almost in my career,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then it was like I can't, I don't
Ah.
know, you know, like
Yeah.
I don't
Missing
know
that
how to do
piece.
this. And I was kind of like on my own in Australia and just like falling apart a bit. You know, like it was just, it was great. It was a great experience now when I look back on it because it was like, just, yeah. But just after that experience, over the next couple of years was the GCA and the change in my
Uh,
whole world. So,
yeah.
yeah, so I onboarded more of the skills that I had really desired to have to be useful in those moments, you know? It's like, how do I
Yeah.
help? I don't know. I don't know what to do. So I was referring and then falling apart a bit. But yeah.
Yeah.
So
Brilliant
it's
story.
yeah,
Brilliant
it's pretty
story,
cool.
Kat. That's cool. What was it called? Resilience, your workshops? What?
Hope and resilience.
Hope and resilience. I love that. And it
Yeah.
sounds like just people were attracted to you because that's what you were embodying. You know, you needed hope beyond the moment. And of course, you were resilient by the sound of it with the crash and what you were doing. And from going from, being a high-end athlete and, really competent in a lot of things to that. So it sounds like people were really drawn to you naturally from you,
Yeah.
putting hope out there.
It was like if I can do this in this state, come on. Like it was
Yeah.
just, it was quite encouraging, and which was cool, which was very cool. People would, I just started drawing, and I never thought I'd have anything to offer again, or whatever. People did reach out with such beautiful and encouragement and stories, things that they were going through. And but yeah, just that feeling of I don't know. I don't have the skills on board. I don't have the like now I have the skills on board from the Global Coaching Academy course and all of the deep dive I've been able, so I can go anywhere with anybody. Anyone comes to me, it's like I'll hold and
Yeah.
I will get through what's needed, and
Yeah.
um hold space. But also, I also I have supervision, like group
Yes.
supervision. I learned about having the upkeep of yourself and your making sure your clients are really well looked after. So I have like regular supervision, and I've onboarded that as a practice in the course. So it's like really an upgrade, and I've also got a system of people that I would recommend in a heartbeat. I've met so many wonderful people through the GCA, and that's really been helpful. Anyway, maybe I'm going ahead, but that was it's like I am in such a different place than I was. You did ask that at the start. You're like, what's the
Yeah.
difference? And it's like
Yeah.
I was literally falling apart and did not know how to contribute. Like how can I be useful? I wasn't doing nothing, but
Mm.
I was definitely not meeting my potential. And now I have ones where I'm working with these ones and their potential is off the chart.
Mm.
And it's like, what do you need? You know, send them over
I'm
to
ready.
GCA,
I've got my
but
toolbox. Yeah.
yeah, send
Yeah.
them, yeah, that. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. Brilliant. Inspiring, Kat. That's a journey. And yeah, I've seen a small portion of it, which has been, a privilege to watch you just grow and step into more of this. I heard you mention the women's work that you're doing and workshops. Do you want to speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, that's really fun. So there's a couple of bits with that, you know, like I obviously I found myself here in another country without anyone I knew, and all that kind of, you know, like all of that kind of had that experience of, you know, leaving a marriage and that being quite tough, and really trying to find my feet again. And so there was, I guess it was that I didn't call it this, but the feeling of doormat to dynamite, you know,
Yes.
like I had all of this self-esteem stuff, and you know, things that I was dealing with, you know, and not really understanding that, you know, what I was putting out for energetically, or you know, just not really understanding the dynamics of like trauma recovery, and um yeah, all of that kind of stuff from really challenging relationship and things before that, you know, all the way through, I guess. So I had been doing a whole load of healing work with that, and
Hmm.
you know, again, deep diving continually as we do, because we learn the skills with the course, and then we keep going, and yeah, so I'd been learning all these skills with that, and I was like, far out, um, what if, what if, you know, we could bring, I could bring a course, or you know, something weekly ongoing to like the women in the community, just like upliftment and self-esteem, and working with mindfulness as well, you know, and some
Hmm.
art, but the self-esteem and the, you know, that upliftment and just practical grounded skills, you know, getting really clear, you know, encouraging them to clear out their energy system, or do, you know, just like some of the great skills that I've learned. I've just now been sharing those again, you know, and so yeah, I'm working with with groups and groups of women, and they keep on coming. So I am very
Yeah.
excited about that.
Yeah.
And I've got, and it's like group coaching, I guess, as I was saying
Yeah.
before, you know. So I get that, and get to really, yeah, I get to hang out with them over a period of time, you know, a period of weeks. And we
Mm.
do a deep dive and a course, and there's a bit more, there's a bit of structure in it, and all that, you know, like it's like, which has been lovely for me to have had that support and structure. So, and yeah, so that's really cool. So, yeah, that's continuing and growing, and it's just lovely.
Yeah, doing great work, Kat. And when you were sharing there, because I heard the other part of your story now, I'm just seeing like the evolved version of that hope and resilience kind of thing there with the
Yeah,
art and stuff. It's kind of like the seed there, and then you've kind of gone through all this stuff, and now you're landing this your actual work with the skills on board. So that's cool. Seeing a bit
yeah,
bigger picture of how you've
yeah,
arrived there.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty cool. You think, you know, it's like I'd say with healing, and I often, I'm sure you're the same, because I'm pretty sure I learned it at the DCA. But like, you know, we think that the healing journey is supposed to go like that.
Hmm.
Um, and you can tell by my story, you know, like, oh, car crash, oh, da, 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 oh, like leaving your marriage, oh, the next thing. And it's like, so so the healing journey is a bit like that, but sometimes, you know, there is a
But an
point
upward
at
trend.
which, yeah, but I think having that experience is awesome, and having that um having a varied background is probably pretty useful for
Oh,
to be
indeed.
useful for these women, and for, you know, people, for any of the clients that come in. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah,
And it
I
comes
love
back
it.
to you're perfect for the role, Kat, and it just comes back to that. You can only go as deep with your clients as you go with yourself, and there's a relationship there with the lived experience that you've had as well, like the trauma you've had, and you just generally practitioners that have really gone through it and lived through a lot of stuff and healed, and then got professional qualifications. There's just something really quite magic about the lived experience component and the qualifications coming together.
Yeah, absolutely, Jay. And I feel like the parts that thought the lived experience was enough until it really wasn't. You know, it
Yeah,
like just
yeah,
having had that learning too, you know, it's like I'll encourage, and I would encourage anyone, you know, to like to check out, get some professional, like always getting the professional thing. But what my experience has been is not really realizing that I had any sway.
Mm.
And then like any, like, not really realizing that I actually held a position of responsibility because I was out talking about
Yeah.
hope and
Yeah.
resilience. So I am therefore responsible for it to whatever degree, for for continuing, like, or at that time referring people when they had a lot going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Because I think that's, before you have the qualification, you need to know where your own marker is. And it's like refer, 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 refer
Yeah.
until you have the skills, and, you can be useful to whatever degree. But knowing, I don't know if that's there's a whole section with what's the difference between counseling and psychology
Yeah.
and coaching, um,
Yeah.
and just being really clear with people about what skills you actually have, what qualifications you actually have. Because I think that was a big thing for me, was like, I don't know how to, I don't know, and here's somebody because they're
Yeah.
qualified, and it was that
Yeah.
kind of continually handing people in whatever directions they needed to go. And I still do that now.
Yeah.
I
Important.
coach and I mentor, and I'm very, very actively recommending psychologists or whatever, what, especially ones that I know that are like top notch from, that I've learned, met over the last couple of years. But yeah, I just feel like chucking that in is such a great thing. And I feel like that's a bit on along the lines of the ethics. And I learned so much with that, with the GCA and with the course. There's no half measures. You are a product of the product, like, and you take full responsibility. If someone is in your care, they're in
Mm.
your care until they're handed, you hand them over to the next, or you at least, I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, but you really want to take care of people's hearts. And that was huge
Yeah.
with the GCA. I loved that. It's just, there's no half measures.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, Kat. It's really important that responsibility, that word there, there is just such a responsibility, and it's not something that we take lightly, and we hopefully share that with our students so they understand it. So again,
Yeah,
we are responsible for helping this person grow. They're in our care.
yeah,
Ethics is a massive part of the course.
it
And,
is.
we really want to hold the bar as high as we can ethically. And we have to be okay to be able to partner with other modalities and people in other professions and be really honest with what we offer and be really honest with when, oh, that's a bit out of our scope. So, go to this person. And it sounds like you naturally had that on board even before all the
Well,
training. It was like,
yeah.
oh, refer, refer,
Well,
refer.
before the training, it was like refer, refer, and feel, like a lot of insecurity about it, a bit
Yeah,
more. Whereas it was like just this kind of taking ownership of like, well, I have this qualification, I don't have this qualification. That is just matter of fact. It's like,
yeah, yeah, sure.
love you, want you to succeed. And, I have no attachment to you liking me or need, or being, that I'm your go-to or anything. I have no attachment. I just want you to be great. Like, I just
Yeah,
want you to go forth and be so, like, so well in yourself that like I've no attachment to that. And I think the GCA was amazing with that. You just, like, with encouraging, not only the ethics but the self-esteem.
yeah, yeah,
you
because
know it's not
we're
your
weeding
ego,
out.
it's not
Yeah.
needing to be involved here. This is somebody's well-being, and know where that, yeah, totally. Go on, sorry, I keep
Yeah,
cutting
it's
in.
just it's
Yeah,
just building on what you're saying there, Kat, is we weed out a lot of that stuff, whereas our motives for service, our motives for helping people, are we propping up our own self-worth, and do we need to be liked? Do we need to be needed? And yeah, so that's why we go through this really deep journey of introspection and personal spiritual development to weed out all of that stuff that could be harmful in a coaching coachee relationship. So yeah, really important, all that stuff, to and just be really thorough and honest with all of that stuff.
and and it was just so helpful. Just it was like, well, matter of fact, and this is that, and how do you feel about it? And that's for you to feel, however, if you've got some feelings coming up, well, that's, there was help with, how to work with that and
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
still, hold the highest, clearest, brightest for the client, just really
Yeah.
good. And like, oh, shelve your soul, it's just all of the aspects of the ethical process, and just really making the safest, most sacred space, holding spaces. That was such a lovely aspect as well. Like just really learning um, how to hold sacred space.
Yeah.
Like unconditional positive regard. And I know that's probably not what it's called, but it was the feeling sense of that.
Yeah, such a full course. Like you're sharing all this
Oh,
stuff, and we've got an intake about 3 months out from finishing, and it's like I'm redoing the course because I graduated 20, just I was the cohort before you in
yeah,
2020,
yeah.
and yeah, it's just so full. There's just every week
It's
it's
just
like
so
it's
much.
it's full. There's so much in it. Yeah, it's fun. So I'm
You're
curious,
making me want to
Kat.
do it again, but go on. You're like, I want to do the course. Yeah. But
Oh, there's a lot of work in it, and yeah, it's great. And yes, so curious. I'm curious to know with all the workshops and the women's work and the coaching, because you're facilitating meditation as well. I'm wondering with clients and students and people you're meeting, is there a common issue that they're bringing to you? Is there
say it
something,
again.
is there a thread? Is there a theme? What's the main thing people are struggling with out there?
Yeah, that's cool. And I would say mostly I'm meeting the most brilliant women, like, and they've no idea. Like
How
often,
brilliant they are.
like
That makes them even
talented
more
and like,
brilliant if they don't know
no,
how brilliant they
they
are.
don't know. Yeah, they've no idea. So that's a common thread. They're like they're surprised at their own capacity. They're just
Yeah.
like, "Oh." Anyway, that's part of it. But I feel like there's aspects of like insecurity or self-esteem things that come through. There's
Yep.
also I've had a lot of people. Uh, I work deeply with um, grief, like
Mhm.
grief and loss, um, childhood wounding, including. I've had a lot of clients come, just be able to feel, I suppose, safe enough to open up with childhood sexual abuse or different aspects of um, inner child, like ch- childhood healing, growing up those parts.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of um, I've had a lot of personal experience with growing up the child part, and holding space for those, and that feels very much part of a lot of what clients are bringing.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
it's an interesting, yeah, yeah,
When you're
and
saying,
just a lot of brilliant people that they're unaware because maybe they've had some different abuse or different traumas and things like that, so they've kind of made themselves less bright, and so
yeah,
there's often a lot of that. Yeah.
when you were sharing, Kat, there's something that Jung said was when something along this, probably paraphrasing, when you heal from something, you send out all of these invisible letters
Yeah,
to everybody that's gone through the same thing.
yeah.
So it's like,
It's,
I'm not surprised, you know?
it's it's like it's that's I love that quote, it's so helpful, and it's really encouraging when you are in the depths of your own deep dive
Mm.
stuff, and it's really encouraging like that. I think my favorite quote, um it's like well, I don't even know. I'll probably bastardize it now, but anyway, it's the don't be the light so that others can see in the dark, and it's very it's so encouraging. It's just like, well, whatever, it's just
Yeah.
like I can shine a light on this within me, and then um I can heal that, and then you're like, hey,
Lighthouse. Yeah.
hey, I'm a lighthouse. This is possible, and so
Leading by
yeah.
example, my friend.
Yeah, but I like, when you're like, well, I didn't know there was another way. Um, I didn't, when you're like, oh, being lead by example, it's like, yeah, life just keeps on giving me all these great opportunities to learn stuff. And then it's like, oh, well, and then it's like this, like your heart just goes, yeah, bring that to the people. And then, you just, that it's kind of been, um, I've been, I say, I was going to say, dragged along kicking and screaming is not anything to do with it. It's like that, like heart ablaze. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
here's the next thing, and I wonder if that'd be useful. And then I just try it out. Like I feel like I had the little school of art and alchemy, and over some years there was kind of the name of that business that was, you know, was working with transformation and art with a lot of women. Um, and I'm like, I just feel like I had um, a lot of very willing people that would just come and let me try out stuff and see if it was helpful, and so it was that was really cool,
Yeah.
there's probably, yeah, they were like, oh, try that, yeah, that feels all right, and then I would just gauge, well, what's working and what's not, and then have another go at something else for doing that trial and error. And I feel like in coaching, there's a lot of that. Now, this it sounds maybe a bit daft, but there's a lot of that, like what's working for you, um, might not be working for someone else, and just taking note, like
Mm.
which aspects are actually helping you to move through your next,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
personal challenge. And like everyone's so different, very much like the whole cohort at the year I went to GCA, like everyone's so different. So what's gonna
Yeah.
I just was so interested in people and what's going to actually work for you. Like, thanks for letting me try this out. Will we try this one? Just feel into like what might be useful. I know I'm kind of joking around with me just mucking around, but it's like, well, at least I had some
Mm.
skills. But
It
it
makes
is that trial
sense.
and error. Like, what's going to work?
Yeah.
Because it's not
Yeah.
out in the world. It's not out in the world necessarily already. And then you just try. You just want to see like what do the people need? What's working here? I'm not sure. So I've had those willing ones that have just been up for trying and letting me know and giving me feedback and having that reflective experience over some years,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that's
Sure.
kind of how I've built the business. And then it's having that reflective experience and being open to feedback. Like I really want to know what's helping and what's useful, and that
Yeah,
anyway.
sounds perfect, Kat, all leading you to where you are now. All those things that you've gone through,
Yeah.
just perfectly leading to you to where you've got these workshops with more structure and you've got the tools on board where you can actually help in a more valuable way. So it sounds perfect. And the having a go and trial and error
Mm,
is, yeah, absolutely. There's space in the course to do that when we're coaching each other. And absolutely, everybody's different. They need something different. So it's great to be curious about that and to have a broad spectrum of skills and questions that you can use because what I'm going to need is going to be different to what you need. So as coaches, we want to be able to adapt and bring ourselves how the client needs because it's not about us, it's
not
client
about us.
centered.
Yeah.
They know the answers, but how can I play my part to help facilitate growth here and awareness and bring more awareness around? So, yeah, absolutely. And that there is a bit of trial and error with that. Sometimes in a coaching session, you just ask a question, you don't know where it's going to land, but
Yeah.
every question that you ask will give you feedback from the coachee. Right,
Yeah.
wrong, different, whatever it is. So we teach that as well. So there's no such thing as a wrong question. You will get feedback which will help guide you to where you need to be anyway. So yeah, I hear you with the trial and error thing there, and it just all sounds perfect, Kat. The whole journey, you're giving a bigger picture there, and it's like, oh, can see that trajectory, like maybe life knew what was going on and had a plan, and because
Imagine.
you imagine that, and it's like, oh, here, getting you to a place.
Yeah.
I also want to say, testament to your attitude with that, because you've gone through so much, and not everyone would stand up and have the attitude you've brought, Kat. You know, I just heard this really positive attitude and theme through everything that you're sharing there. Just, oh, well, how can I be better because of this? How can I be useful because of this challenge and everything you've gone through? So that's a testament to your attitude. That's a choice, and not everyone makes that choice. So good on you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. That's cool. It's that I remember like really early on it was like if you got to do it, you might as well love it. And so
Mm.
many of the things we just have to do because the alternative is to give up or to fall down or to be a victim of or whatever. And it's like so there isn't, a lot of very I'm very grateful to have the attitude and it's taken work as well. But I also, there's something that just says, well, what's the alternative? I'm not doing that. I'm not,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like a friend of mine, another coach said to me one time, so I allot this amount of time to worrying, you know, like, and that's it. I've got my 5 minutes in the morning and then it just doesn't, I just thought it was so fun. It was such a fun approach because it's like, you know, if you were going to spend or I say or waste or spend any of your time focused in a direction that you don't want to actually go, let's make it really short.
Yeah,
It was just made me
that's
laugh. Like
great.
I'd not, when you're deep in the shit, it's like, okay, cool, have your 5 minutes, all the worst things, and then like use it as transformation. It's like, oh well, I've
Fuel.
let that all out. Let that anyway. I just thought it
That's
was
fun.
really funny. It's just
Yeah.
funny. It's like, oh yeah. So the rest of the 23 hours and 55 minutes, I'm going to spend with my attitude in the direction I want to focus and what I
Yeah,
want to actually move towards. So that was just funny. Now I'm
that's
hoping
great.
for 24, but we
Yeah.
all have moments
Yeah.
of
Just get
whatever.
shake your worries out. Here's your
Yeah,
okay, right. Here, have your 5 minutes of worry wart time, get it all out, and then right, we're on track.
yeah,
Yeah, that's fun.
yeah.
Nice. So what do you feel is the biggest challenge within the coaching profession?
Oh, that's a good one. Um,
Hmm.
I was like, it's
Is there one?
amazing. It's like it's
Is that a
amazing.
challenge? It's so amazing. That's the challenge. Can it
It's
get
so
any more amazing?
amazing.
Oh yeah, it
It's
does.
amazing.
It's
Um, yeah, imagine it. Yeah, it might
my
need
biggest
more.
challenge is it's so amazing. And I didn't know it
My
could be so amazing.
my biggest challenge is my heart's exploding. It's like every day.
I didn't think it would
Biggest,
get any better, but then it
yeah.
did.
Well, yeah, how can
It's
life get better
amazing.
than this? Again. Um, so yeah, there is a whole lot of feeling that I'm trying to feel if there's something really like the biggest challenge. I feel like actually, um, I feel like holding really steady with being okay to work with your your people. Being like in the same way as you spend the time getting to know your frequency, your background,
Mhm.
the deep dive into self. And I feel like, initially we might work with everyone in every way and all the on all the aspects and run yourself ragged sometimes, just
Yep.
giving in all the directions. Um, and so just yeah, I guess one of the challenges can be the people pleaser needing to, like I've definitely had that initially in my career of like, well, if I can, I should give to all and everything
Sure.
and all of that. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, just. really, I suppose it comes down to deeply respecting your energy and and your authenticity and what it exactly it is that you bring in, and being okay, being more discerning in who you take on
Mm.
as a client, because it can be a deeply personal relationship, and then you you want to work with people that you can have the most impact, not just everybody. That's what I
Yeah.
would feel, and that's what I would
Yeah.
feel, and in that there's another little bit, which is making sure that whoever you're going to work with, um, that they're as invested in their well-being and their upliftment and their moving forward as you are. If you're more invested in their up, you've got your scales wrong. You completely off the mark. So um, if someone is keen on their own success and they're ready to go, well, you can it, that it can be such a challenge when if someone is really keen, it's so easy to work with them and to move in, and like you'll have clients that'll have dips and challenging times, and they'll need more encouragement in different moments, but they need to at least be as invested as you are in the success of in their own success.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that can be tricky if someone's referred um through. It can be hard if it's in a workplace or in a something and someone is referred through, they have to be there, and it can be quite challenging, and you do what can do what you want, but not taking everyone on, and sometimes not taking those jobs just because not sometimes not taking those jobs can really take care of your energy and your yeah, just really respecting what it is that we've each got to offer, and it's
Yeah.
not for everyone, you know.
Yeah. Great points, Kat. And that's why we encourage that. Some people call it the charisma conversation before you start. Let's get serious. Let's get honest. Are we actually a fit? And I
Yeah.
love that. It's like, don't just take on anyone. Those conversations are an interview for both. Are we a fit? Is this going to work? And being brutally honest with what coaching is, the services we provide, and them
Yeah.
sharing what they want to get out of the relationship, and then making an ethical decision
Yeah.
based on that, not just, oh, I
Yeah.
need the
Yeah.
money, or I think I can help this person because I can see their problems or whatever it is. It's
Yeah.
really genuinely in your heart having that conversation and co-creating between you guys, if is this relationship going to work as a coach and coachee, or mentor mentee, whatever it is. So yeah, great points.
Thank you. Yeah, it feels like it's probably been an initial challenge for the old people pleaser in me that wants to help the whole. It's like
Everyone.
everyone can. I feel like especially with the empath stuff, if I can see and feel your potential, and you're just being like, yeah, but that's not what you're presenting, and that's not what you want in this moment. So, that kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
just cool. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's really fun, and it's very far from the very insecure and one that would just do whatever. Like I feel like that journey has been quite cool as well. It's like I can love everyone. I don't have to work with everyone. It's
Mhm.
like pretty
Don't have
cool.
to fix them.
Like yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
any of
Yeah.
that. But yeah.
Everybody's going at their own pace, and yeah, great stuff that you're implementing there, Kat. So off the back of that question, what's the most rewarding thing about your new career path, coaching, mentoring?
Um, I'll just sound like a complete goof. I'm like, oh, my dreams come true. But the most rewarding, yeah, when I feel it often feels like, because it's not necessarily the big breakthrough and the success story, because that'll happen, but it's when you're working with groups or with clients, and um they're safe enough to bring like they're safe enough to be vulnerable, which is courage, like to be courageous enough to bring things that are challenging, um yeah, I think the most rewarding thing is knowing that someone has felt, safe enough to bring
Mm.
themselves completely in the moment, whatever that might be. It's like that to me is like, okay, I'm doing my job, like
Mm.
whatever that is, like that's it. Like I don't even have to have said anything or whatever, but it's like if someone can bring themselves and something challenging or just themselves and be really, really present and there with themselves while you're holding space, then like
Mm.
that's the most rewarding thing. Sacred.
Yeah, that sounds special. Yeah, very rewarding. Absolutely. So, my friend, I have a question for you. I'm wondering if you would share a helpful technique or the technique that works for you, has worked for you when facing big feelings. What's the,
Oh
what can you share about that? What's helped you, Kat? Because I've seen you and I know you've been through a lot and faced a lot of stuff. What's the most useful tool to help that has helped you face and move through trauma and big feelings?
yeah. Um, I think I feel like it probably is and shall always be the being able to get a hold of your heart, because all of any trauma or any big feelings that are happening in the moment or over a long term or in any kind of experience, um it's not the truth.
Hmm.
um, and sometimes it's like if it's not love, it's not the truth. And getting a hold of your heart, if in this moment I feel traumatized or I feel whatever it is, it's feeling moving through, and I've got a real, and I maybe whatever, it doesn't matter how it sounds, I get a hold of my heart and I'm here, and I work with clients with it too, just okay, I'm here, like a reparenting any part that needs it, just really getting a hold of your heart, getting a hold of yourself. I'm here. We're okay. And grounding and really grounding. And I say grounding, I mean remembering you're part of something greater, grounding down into the planet. That's how I would say, like really being, your heart and Gaia's heart. We're here. We're okay. I'm part of this great big planet. I'm part of I'm part of my expanded self, and like really, I suppose it comes to being in an alignment or being able to choose your alignment over and over again. That makes sense. You can ask me more if that doesn't make sense.
It does. It makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. Nice. Nice, Kat. I'm sure that will be helpful for many. Thank you. Great. So, is there anything else that you want to share about your journey, about GCA? Anything that you would say to ones out there who are contemplating moving into the helping profession?
Yeah,
That's
just
four questions in one.
yeah, I love that. I was
We don't do that as coaches.
just as
One
just when we're
concise
interviewing.
question.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. You give me lots of options, you see, which is
Yeah,
quite nice.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, anyone that's feeling to move into a healing profession, it just feels like yeah, do it. That would be like not just yeah, do it, but yeah, often we don't know. We might not have a big clear map and a big clear picture of exactly what that's going to look like. I certainly didn't. Some part of me, like the more expanded part, had a plan. But yeah, I would just say, you want to move into a healing profession, or you're not even sure, but you want to be useful, or you want to be an encourager in any kind of way. You just, or you find you are an encourager and you're not sure um how to kind of utilize that, or to, grow into it more. I would say, really be okay to listen to the soft voice within, like, that really gentle calling that says, just check out this, or have a look over here, or that kind of um one step at a time, or like this really excites something in me or ignites something here, and I'm not sure what it is. Like for me with the GCA, it was like, there was that light up, something lit up, and I could have, I could have walked away and decided to, get on with something else because my thinker got involved, but my heart lit up, went, oh, this is something special, and yeah, so I would encourage anyone that is, yeah, to, really, really listen for that inspiration or that lighting up or anything that's just a bit curious. That take the next step, because the big map's not necessarily going to show itself to you. And
Good
yeah,
call. Yeah.
and do the GCA course because it's amazing. But but yeah, the most rewarding thing to step into feeling in a more, in more of a way. I guess I don't know if that's
Mhm.
definite, but yeah, so rewarding. Such a privilege. It's a
Indeed.
privilege to work with people, and it's a responsibility to have the qualification on board to do that. It's just like it's the both go together hand in hand. It's like it's such a privilege and
Yeah.
a great responsibility to take care of people's hearts. Like get both happening, like lived experience and the qualification. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally agree, my friend. There's so many people out there that have so many life skills just because of what they've come through and what they've lived. And yeah, it's just wonderful to merge those two with qualifications. And they're just, really amazing healers and coaches, mentors, therapists, all of that sort of stuff. So brilliant. Usually I wrap up, Kat, with
Yep.
what's your favorite quote? But you
Oh,
already
sorry,
told us your favorite quote. Can you
I
tell us
ruined
again?
it. Now I'm like, what was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, um be the light so others can see in the dark.
Yeah, nice one. Nice way to wrap up. My
Thank you.
friend, so lovely to talk to you and to hear more of your story. You're doing such awesome work out there, Kat, and I wish you every success. You deserve it. And we're really grateful to have you on the show and share your journey with GCA and how that's helped you. So much love to you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thanks for the work you're doing. Like it's bloody brilliant. It's really lovely. Thank you. Keep going.
Thank you. Thanks, Kat.
Thanks.
So I will put Kat's details, if she's okay with that, in the description. So if you want to get in touch and find out more about what she's doing out in the world, then all the info will be in the description. And we are the Global Coaching Academy if you want to know more about the services we provide, because we do have the Diploma, which is a year-long course. That's at the heart of GCA. Yeah, we've also got two other short courses, 6-month courses, and a whole bunch of other services which we provide. So all those details will be in there in the description, people. Lots of love. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you on the next one.